Good morning, everyone. This is Pat Sacco with the Forum. I'm here with Evan in the studio, and I have a guest, but my guest is not sitting next to me. Hey, Doc, are you on the phone?
Hey, good morning. Yep, I'm here. Can you hear me all right?
Yes. Oh, that's great. Thank you.
Great.
This
We're
is.
practicing social distancing, so I'm glad we decided to do it this way.
Yeah, you can
we're
lay.
doing our part.
You can lay on the couch, eat some candy, and have the interview.
I love it.
I have with me this morning Dr. Joseph. Where's Becky? And I pronounced it correctly too, didn't I?
You did. Yeah, the easiest way to say it is, where is Becky? Where's Becky?
Where's Becky? Gotcha.
Yeah.
I got a little froggy in my throat right now, but that's all right. We'll struggle through this. We are obviously confining ourselves in distance in the radio studio as well, keeping a 6-foot distance. We're only two of us in the studio, Evan, the technician, and me, the interviewee, excuse me. And so, in fact, I have the next 3 weeks lined up for this kind of interview. It's not so much this. I would rather have it the other way, to have your face on the screen and me not having it. But
yeah, it was great last time. We were both in the studio together, and I think we can still maintain that same kind of back and forth funness, even though we're not physically together. But next time, hopefully, we can get together in the studio.
Oh, and very soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Do you have your radio on?
No, I don't.
Okay, good, because there's a delay if you're listening on your radio. There's like a 1 or 2 second echo, so that's good. Now, you practice at Florida Orthopedic.
Yep, Florida Orthopedic Specialist.
Oh
yes.
Yeah. Right.
So a little bit about me. So I'm actually from the Midwest. I did undergraduate at Creighton University with the Jesuits in Omaha, Nebraska.
Uh-huh.
But then I did medical school at University of Kansas. But I'm a Floridian at heart. And so after medical school, I moved down to Florida. And I was actually a primary care physician at University of Florida for several years while I focused on getting my fellowship in non-surgical sports. So, yeah, I still have a great passion and curiosity for general medicine. But now my practice is all focused on non-surgical sports. So I've been in Port St. Lucie now for 7-8 years, working with Dr. Powers, Dr. Forrester, and like the 6-7 other guys here.
You got the best crew in the county and in the state, as far as I'm concerned.
I agree. And yeah, another thing, Pat, we are open. A lot of practices are shut down right now, but Dr. Powers and the way that we approached it is, well, we don't want people going into the emergency department with things like fractures or pains, falls. And so, yeah, people can come and see us. We are open. There's not many places open. So if you need orthopedic help, we also do telemedicine too. So if people wanted Skype or FaceTime, there's some other ways that we can address some orthopedic issues. Just let us know when you call. And our telephone number is 335-4770. 335-4770. And you can also find us through my website, which is drw.org. Doctors all spelled out, drw.org.
Very good.
Yeah.
If you spelled your last name out, nobody would get it right in typing.
Exactly. Oh, yeah. Yep. Yeah. No one would get that right, and no one would be able to find the proper information.
Well,
and actually another thing too, my wife is a dentist, and no other dentist office in town are open except for hers. And so if you're looking for a dentist, you can also find her information on my website too. She's a Dr. W also.
Very good. Very good. Yeah. Well, get you both out of the house.
Yeah, you got to stay busy right now, right?
It's kind of like Rand Paul going back to work as a doctor right now. When he came off of his 14 days, he's now working in a hospital.
Yep. Yeah. All hands on deck. Yeah.
Yeah. Wait, for all the doom and gloom that goes on every day, not just with the coronavirus, but for any other day, you hear things on the TV and radio. All these bad things are happening, and then you see some guy helping a lady take a box off a bus, or somebody holding up traffic to let a little kid walk by. Those kinds of things. The generosity of us, it's inherent in the people in this country.
Oh yeah, everyone's really coming together for this common purpose. It's great that we don't really have our enemy right now is this coronavirus, and so everyone coming together. I love that. this is something special, in the way that we are responding.
Right. And things are happening by the day that normally would take months or years. People are saying, well, gee, we're going to be in home in another day. You're lucky they're not going to be in home in 6 months.
Yeah.
Yeah. We want it. The problem with us is we want it now. We want it instantly. I want a big house. I want a beautiful car. I want a great job. And I'm 17 years old. Yeah. But I want it now. I deserve it. We don't deserve anything. As a patriot, former military person, I'm sitting here. I owe nothing to my country. I mean, I owe everything to my country. My country doesn't owe me anything. It gives me the privilege to live in a land of freedom like this.
Yeah.
And I'm very respectful. I don't have to have a passport to get into Texas. I don't have to have troops, coming where I live. We're not under those kind of conditions, and because we never had those. I don't think we appreciate not having them.
Yeah, I love that approach, and I hope a lot of people out there are taking that same approach right now with just their mentality and the way that they're viewing things. Counting your blessings and having some gratitude for the good that we do have right now. It's a perfect time to be reflecting on that.
Right, and I love my fellow man, but I condemn those who condemn the good that's being done here.
Yeah,
I condemn them. And gee, if they're broke, I'll give them $10. Don't go around and badmouth my country. I'm sorry. We've given too much, too many lives, and too many things to not be respected. And I'm not going to be on the political bent. I'm getting off of that. But the whole point is, we got in Kansas. My God, Kansas.
Yep. Oh yeah, a long ways from Kansas. What do I get all the time? We're not in Kansas anymore.
Dorothy.
Yep. I get that about once a day. I love it. It's cute. It brings me back. Yeah. Yeah. Right now, Pat, you and I were talking before about how things are changing right now with people and how just orthopedics and just medicine in general, outside of the coronavirus specifically, but how it's affecting us. Right now we're seeing everyone practicing all this social distancing, which is very good. And that's leading to less doctor visits for things like their chronic medical conditions. People aren't coming in right now, to like my office for like their knee pain. They're staying at home, which is great as long as they can handle that pain. But what some of the early epidemiologic studies are saying is that, we're having some concern that people aren't being treated properly enough for a lot of their chronic medical conditions. They're being managed for high blood pressure, COPD, medication management, and coordinating of these things. And what we're seeing now is that people aren't giving enough focus to these other things outside of the coronavirus and the social distancing. But if you're not managing those other chronic medical conditions properly, it's going to lead to a lot worse health outcomes that is going to affect you. And so that's one of the big concerns that I have right now. I'd encourage people, delay your doctor visits if you can, but delay them. Don't cancel them.
Right.
So reschedule them. See if they have telemedicine. Because again, we don't want you to, get off your blood pressure medications or not be as compliant as you should be with these other chronic medical conditions. And of course, stay active. I hear so many people right now who they're taking this as a nice long vacation. They're eating unhealthy. They're watching more TV and they're on social media and on the couch. They're not exercising as much, and that's not good. So I encourage people to think about our current situation in a very well-rounded way.
Well, you're hitting a nerve here, Joe. We've been, I remember it was 1903 or whatever. There was this TV show called 24 with Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
We have all the discs for the 6 or 7 seasons. I think we're halfway through it right now. So in the evening, we set up to watch an episode or two. So we're guilty of sitting there watching. But it's so exciting. I want to put another disc on.
Yep, because we want you to stay away from other people and whatnot, and it's good. But make sure that we're balancing it out with some other healthy behaviors. Not eating more potato chips, but instead, going for maybe an extra long walk. Staying away from people that maybe you wouldn't have done before.
Right.
So we got to balance that. And I'm also seeing the other extreme too, in that some people are taking this as a time to be especially healthy with their diet, which is great. And then they're also being especially healthy and doing more activity than they normally do. And then those are the people who are ending up in my office because, they're going up on their roof. They're climbing a whole bunch of ladders that their knees aren't used to. And this dramatic change in their exercise program and their activity and forces they're putting through their body is overdoing things, and it's flaring up a knee condition. Right. So yeah, it's great for people to be active, but be appropriately more active and be careful with new activities.
Right. Well, when you mentioned telemarketing, I can see that that's going to be a wave of a number of things.
The telemedicine, yeah,
especially
Skype and FaceTime and applications such as that.
Let's say I was an orthopedic specialist, non-surgical orthopedic specialist, and I had a huge caseload, and I had a nurse practitioner working with me. I could set up teleconference for them.
Sure.
For you, to follow through on. Then there's like a tandem thing. It's like when you get your teeth cleaned, the hygienist does the cleaning, the dentist examines after. So something like that. That's going to save a lot of gas. It's going to save a lot of cost.
Yep.
We're now moving away from emergency rooms.
Oh, yeah.
And they're triaging at the door, which is something they should have been doing a long time ago. So maybe you can go to a walk-in clinic.
Yeah. And we're finding that we can actually do a pretty good job of diagnosing and managing things, from an orthopedic standpoint, through the telemedicine things like Skype and FaceTime. The one problem is, especially with my field, is I do a lot of interventional pain. So like things like cortisone injections, which is our major part of orthopedics, things like that, and, stem cell injections and these other gel injections. Of course, you can't do through the telemedicine.
Right.
But still, if people are looking for some peace of mind, want to know what's going on and get some direction, at least we can offer that through telemedicine.
Exactly. And I think that's another plus in the pile of exposure and growth.
Yep.
Again, it's better exposure, greater growth in they say, well, gee, you're using all these electronic devices. You're not communicating with people. Well, telemarketing, or not
telemedicine. Yeah.
Telemedicine. Excuse me.
Yep.
Marketing is when they want to sell you something. Telemedicine is I want to fix you up a little bit. Again, those you're still having that one-on-one conversation. It reminds me back to when I was a kid, which is about 200 years ago. And I just got a phone call from my very best friend yesterday from high school, and we were alphabetical. And his name is Saltrelli, so he sat behind me in school. Lou was a great guy. I mean, funny as hell. Just a wonderful, wonderful friend. He called me yesterday and wanted to know if my wife was picking out a casket because of the virus.
Oh, terrible.
That was a good way to start off. Well, we had another good friend of ours. I mean, with my age, people are dropping now. And we get these, obituaries sent from the towns and emails and stuff. And another dear friend passed away in Chicago. And so Lou was calling around to check with his friends. We had a great conversation, laughing. I mean, every time we get together, it's hard to, catch your breath because you're laughing all the time. But
that's great. Yeah, definitely the time to, what I've been doing more too is, with the families, getting everyone together on like these FaceTime conversations. You get like 8 people together or on the Zoom things. And so definitely a great time to, to reconnect with old friends because, one other problem that we're seeing right now with everyone, doing their job in social distancing is that we're not getting as much socialization, and we are very social creatures. And so it's very important for our own mental health to get that. And so we got to get creative in figuring that out. And I think it's great that people are utilizing, the telephone and these video applications. But if you're not, it's definitely going to affect your mental health. And your mental health is important right now. It's a very stressful time. If your mental health is not where it should be, you're consuming more TV or social media, which, as you know, isn't great for your mental health. Well, that affects your immune system. It affects how well you're able to fight off things like viruses and bacteria. It affects your heart. It affects your brain. So we got to be socializing in appropriate ways.
Exactly. Um,
Yeah.
it helps when society is booming and things are going at a real fast pace, and you have great opportunities for interacting with people, shopping, working, and all those things. But now you're right. If there's no one else in your home, you're alone.
Yeah.
I do a newsletter for my agency, the Alzheimer's and Parkinson's Association of the Treasure Coast. I do an electronic newsletter every month. And I have a little saying that goes on the front page that said, uh, youth walk in packs, adults walk in pairs, and the senior walks alone. And that's how this, here's something. If anybody's listening and you're living in a condo association or in a hefty neighborhood, and there's that little old lady who lives by herself, nobody, anybody says hello to her or anything, give her a call. Or go knock on the window, say, don't come out, just open the door. Well, keep my 6 feet. Just checking on you. How are you doing? And I've noticed the businesses are sending these things out now, saying we hope everything is okay, and that, which is, I don't want to call it smart marketing, but it's smart humanity.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah, you're exactly right. I couldn't agree with you more on that. And again, it gets you thinking. And right now we have a lot of time to sit back and to think about some of these deeper questions and just kind of looking inward. And I really found this is interesting about this whole socialization thing about us and how important it is for our health and just stress and our mental health and how it relates to our overall health. I mean, yeah, we know it's important, but do you really know how important it is? So take it even more serious than you did before.
Yeah, right. Well, Mario, that was his father. Andrew Cuomo talked about, are we going to go back to normal? He said, no, we're going to go back to a new normal. For instance, restaurants are only going to be serving half the patrons that they normally did because they're going to have to separate the tables.
Yep.
So they only get half the clientele that they got before. Now, maybe they're only going to hire half of the workers back. And that, this whole thing changed. It's kind of like, the general kicking the colonel all the way down to the private kicking the dog. It changed all the way down the thing. They say 2/3 of bacon that are produced in the United States are sold to restaurants. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Now, let's say we cut that in half. Now, what's going to happen all the way to the chain from the grain to the, it's kind of things I don't want to think about because it makes my head hurt.
Yeah.
But like I say, we just have to do our thing. Each one of us individually has to do our thing. We were beautiful during 9/11.
Mm-hmm.
The flags came out and people were talking to each other and smiling and being thankful that the worst thing didn't happen. Now we have to go around and do the same thing. I saw a truckload or a whole convoy of fire trucks in New York City with banners and flags, and people were walking out of their homes clapping. They were driving these things through the city, tooting their horn, saying, here we are, we care about you. And everybody was coming out, like in Italy, where they would get on the balconies and they would sing to each other from their balconies. Those are the things in the crisis, Doc, people do reach out. They really do. Yeah. And, and your frontline people, when it comes to individuals who have pain. And the pain's not going to go away because of the coronavirus. The pain's not going to go away because I lost my job. It's still going to be there and probably manifest itself.
Yeah, you're right. The pain gets put on the back burner. A lot of this other stuff in life we're putting on the back burner. And yes, it's good that, our primary thing is this biggest thing we're all involved with the coronavirus. But I like I was kind of saying before, and it's kind of tough to put into words, but don't get overly focused on this one thing. Yes, take it very serious, but don't neglect those other secondary, third, fourth things that are important for your life, your health, and for your family. Don't completely ignore that knee pain. I see people limping around all the time, and they just think, oh no, it's just my bad knee. Well, they're limping on that for long enough that eventually that turns into a bad hip and a herniated disc in their back.
Yep.
So you have to stay well balanced with these things. So, I mean, one of the biggest things that I'm telling my patients is that, well, if you're limping, you need to be using something to help you not limp. Your body's trying to talk to you. It's trying to tell you something. Use a cane for a little bit just to take some of the pressure off that arthritis in your knee. Let the body catch up, because otherwise, like I said, you're going to end up with a herniated disc in your back.
Well, I tend to learn things the hard way. I think it was 1980.
A lot of us, yeah.
1988 when you were a little one. I had a bad back, and I had I had an L5 L5
L5S1
5S1 fusion. Yes, that's where they took
common level.
Took the bone chips from the iliac crest and packed a nice little rectangle in there, and I didn't realize how debilitating that was. Yeah, I got up and I was walking in the pain. And I asked the doctor, because I'd had that for years before I had the surgery. And I said, why did I go through periods of time where my back hurt a lot and then it didn't hurt for a while? Then it hurt a lot. And he smiled. He said, your body was adjusting.
Yep.
Your body adjusted.
Sometimes making good changes, sometimes making not so good changes that are really going to kind of flood you and hit you hard later on. But yeah, it's making changes and adapting.
Right. And that, they would change, adapt, all those things, and it was building up. In fact, it was a neighbor of mine, and he said, I want you in my office tomorrow morning. We're going to get you, to a good surgeon, blah, 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 blah. And we did. And a lot of times people put things off. Oh, well, I love the crick in my knee.
Yeah, you mean the noises your knee makes?
Yeah, the crick in the knee. That's like waterfalls.
That's a common question I get, about the noises that people's joints make. And that's one thing that I'm commonly telling people is, don't worry about a noisy joint. If it's just noisy alone, leave it alone. As long as it's not having pain and making you limp and whatnot. Noisy joints are okay. It's not a worrisome sign alone. Yeah, and that can come down to many things why it's making that noise. Most often it's arthritis and the way that the irregular surface is rubbing up against another irregular surface.
There we go.
It makes that noise. And it can make a wide variety of noises. I mean, I've heard knee arthritis joints sound like jingling keys. I hear them sound like gunshots. So don't worry about this the quality, the loudness of it. As long as it's not painful and it doesn't get in your way, that's a great sign.
Now that's bone on bone then, isn't it?
Most often it is, but it doesn't always have to be bone on bone to make noise like that. Yep. But yeah, the noisy joints, common question I get. Another thing too is like people wonder, well, my joint is swelling. Maybe my knee joint is swollen, but it doesn't bother them otherwise. Or, maybe they have some swelling on their elbow and it doesn't bother them otherwise. It's just swelling. Don't worry about swelling alone. Swelling alone is fine. In orthopedics, what we're solving for is we're solving for pain relief and we're solving for improvement in your function. And so if it's not affecting your function and it's not giving you pain, don't worry about it. Of course, some people, they still want some reassurance. And so they come in, they want to make sure it's not a cancer or something like that. And, I'll take a look at it and most often say that it looks good. But, every now and then I tell someone, I don't like the look of that. And we have to get an X-ray or an MRI.
Right. And that's a really good piece of advice because people get worried like, oh, oh my God, my knee is swollen. What am I going to do? It doesn't hurt, but, I'm going to watch it. It's going to be something bad. I can worry about it. But, I think if you were to say that to one of your patients, they would be very relieved.
Yeah, and a lot of it is just people wanting to rest more easily. They want that mental reassurance that things are okay, that there's nothing worrisome. And so that I see a lot of people who just want that. They're doing fine, they're doing well enough, but they just want to know some more information about what's going on. They want that mental reassurance. And that's very appropriate to come and see the doctor for that reason. You're not wasting our time. I hear that saying a lot, but my time is never being wasted by answering someone's questions or for whatever their goal of the office visit is.
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest syndromes adult males have is trying to stay as if they're 20 years old, no matter how old they are.
Yeah, mentally still thinking that they are 20 years old. Oh yeah, males, females alike. And that's something that gets a lot of people into trouble because they still think that they can run around with the grandkids or go up and down ladders or run around Disney like they did when they were 20. And if you and people who take that much longer to mentally understand what their body's capable of and not capable of, they get themselves into trouble more often. But eventually we learn, and for some people it takes us a little bit longer to learn those lessons, but the body will teach us.
I describe it this way. When I was young, I was able to put my arms around a refrigerator and move it. Now all it can do is open the door.
Yep. And hey, you may be able to lift that refrigerator just like you did before, but you're going to pay for it for a very long time, in ways of, a herniated disc or something.
Well, that's what happened. We were putting a 4 spigot soda dispenser in a lunch wagon, 4 of us. And 2 of them got inside to grab it, and I was one of the outside guys to grab it. And as we were lifting, and we probably had to lift it about 8 or 9 inches. The guy on the other side of me slipped, so I grabbed it and yanked it to hold it up, and that's when it popped.
Yep.
Again, well, it's not supposed to do that. Yeah, right. Well, it did it, and it caused quite a bit of pain for quite a long time, till I was smart enough to say, "Let's do something about it."
Yeah. And, a lot of the time what's happening is like you said, under the surface, we're making bad compensation, bad ways of moving, bad ways of using our posture. And we may not even know that we have some arthritis or some herniated discs in our back because our body is compensating without even letting our brain know that there's a problem there. But then all it takes is one little turn and lift, and then boom, you feel that arthritis in the back. You feel those old herniated discs. And so, that's just something for people to be aware of. Just because you've never had pain in your back doesn't mean that you can be stupid about things that you do with your back. You gotta have good, well-rounded, just orthopedic health. And it's the same thing with your diet. You don't have to have high blood pressure or heart attacks to know that you need to follow proper nutrition in order to maintain good heart health. You don't have to have symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
So people need to think about that. And I think the majority of people do.
Well, there are a lot of silent killers out there in our environment, that we really have to be careful of. And, I've taught dietitians. I went to a lecture one time on the dietitian presenting. And what I love is a particular brand of mayonnaise. I don't eat any other brand but that brand. And I was feeling guilty because she said, watch out for this, watch out for that. I said, what? And I explained, I said, what about this thing? And she laughed and she said, using a spoonful of that once in a while ain't going to kill you.
Yeah, you got to treat yourself every now and then.
Don't deprive yourself. Right.
Yeah. We're good the majority of the time, but every now and then, it's good to reward yourself. If you deprive yourself of all of life's pleasures, what's the point? So I agree with you.
And I know one of the friends of mine, a friend of mine is a diabetic, and his physician said once a month, just go and eat anything you want.
Yeah.
This once a month in moderation, it's okay. Not going to hurt you.
Oh, yeah. I think the problem that people get into is that they're not being good the majority of the time. And so, it's not good to not be good the majority of the time and then to have that cheat day also. Right, you get the cheat day when you're good the majority of the time.
Right. Well, Doc, we're gonna stop for about 30 seconds for a commercial, and we'll be right back.
Okay, great. I'll be here.
Okay. And we are back with Dr. Joe Worsbecki from Florida Orthopedics.
Yep. And just to toss out my information again, if people were listening and want to know how to contact me, you can find Florida Orthopedic Specialists. Our telephone number is 772-335-4770. Or you can find my information and my practice's information from my website, which is drw.org. Doctor is all spelled out, DOCTORW.org.
Joe, you have the radio on.
Nope.
Okay, wait, we got it.
Yeah, I guess. Oh, yep. Yeah, I just have my phone on.
Yeah, it's okay. This is good.
Yep.
The people need to understand that you just don't ignore a problem. You find out what the problem is, what can be done about it, what can't be done about it. Knowledge is power, and knowledge takes the fear away.
Yep. Oh, yeah. So, Pat, before we were talking about some symptoms that are okay to ignore, like the noisy joint, or if it's just swelling on its own. And I have this other list that I tell people about, things that they should come to the doctor for that you should not ignore. And I start off with, I hear this one all the time. Why are you here? My wife made me come. That is a perfectly acceptable reason to come to the doctor. I understand. My wife made me come. Yeah, even if you have minimal symptoms, I completely understand. So on my list of things to highly consider coming is when your pain is severe, if your pain is not improving, if your pain is getting progressively worse, that's not a good sign, so you should come in. If your pain is making you limp or you're almost falling, or if this pain, you have chronic pain and you don't have a diagnosis, you don't have a treatment plan. Other things is if your pain is altering your quality of life. Maybe you have this bad knee pain and it keeps you from doing your walks. You used to be able to do your 3-mile walk, and that's very important to you. But now because of the knee pain, you can only do a few blocks or a half a mile.
Right.
That's quality of life, and that's absolutely something you should be addressing with your doctor, because it could be a very simple solution. And then the last thing that's on my list for things to highly consider coming to the doctor for your pain is if it's requiring heavy amounts of over-the-counter pain pills, especially when you don't have an established diagnosis. Sometimes I see people on massive amounts of ibuprofen that they've been taking for years and years for their knee pain. Well, that could be a problem, because instead, maybe we could do something that's more effective and more safe than what you're currently doing. And, I mentioned cortisone shots because oftentimes I see people coming in for chronic knee pain who are taking all these anti-inflammatories or Tylenol, and a simple cortisone shot, and that fixes them up for months, sometimes a year, or they're using a lot less of the medication, and then they're less likely to get side effects from those medications. So, yeah, I completely agree with you, Pat. People do need to take a lot of these things serious because it can affect your life and how long you live, how well you live.
And also good advice for them is to find what your limits are.
Yep.
Know
your ceiling is what I tell a lot of people.
You may not be able to do a 5K run anymore, but maybe you can walk around the block.
Exactly. Or maybe you can't do a 5K run at 10-minute pace, but you can do a nice jog, or you could do a nice jog for a couple miles, and then break that up and then do it a little bit more later. Our body is really funny in that it really requires us to pace itself. So if you have a whole bunch of yard work to do, well, don't just knock it out, in a couple hours. Space it out throughout the day or throughout a couple days, and your body, you're not going to feel those aches and pains days afterwards if you pace yourself.
And same is true basically with women cleaning their homes.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
It's a 3-hour job. I'm going to do it all today. Well, why not do it over 3 days, an hour each, or over 6 days, a half hour each? We have to set our limits and know what we can do without getting into that problem area or that depression. To me, depression is a dangerous thing.
Yep. And I'm guilty of that too, with not pacing myself. You get that wave of motivation and you just want to do all that spring cleaning and knock it out.
Yep.
But you got to keep the mental brakes on. And what happens if you don't. And And like I was saying before earlier in the program, things that the body is not used to. Okay, don't just don't cannonball into that water. You gotta test the water. You gotta go slow. If you ever walked around for 10 miles, well then, in a long time, you don't go to Disney and walk 10 miles in one day, or you're gonna feel it. So unfortunately, I see a lot of people who aren't so smart about that. But be smart about it, and then you can avoid seeing me.
Well, not avoid seeing you, because look, our bodies are not eternal like our souls are. Okay.
Yep.
And the soul doesn't deteriorate. I hope not. But the body does. And you can't be doing the things you did when you were young. That period. It just doesn't work. And when you try to do those things, that's when you end up with the elbow pain, the knee pain, the ankle pain, because you're creating these pains, because your mechanism is no longer capable of operating at that level of efficiency.
Yep. And you never know. Like maybe you're, let's say, a 60-year-old person who hasn't run in years, and you're thinking about getting back to it, but you don't have knee pain, and it doesn't hurt you to do some simple stuff. Well, I'm not telling you not to do that 5K. Maybe that is something reasonable, but you start slow. You start with a half mile of just a low pace, and you see, well, how does the body feel during it? How does it feel the next day? As long as it feels all right, well, then, okay, go deeper and deeper into that water and testing the body.
But don't just wait 6 months and get out there and try to run 5 miles.
Yeah.
That doesn't work.
That's where we see stress fractures, or that's where we see bad arthritis flare-ups. Yeah, and no one wants those.
Well, with Florida Orthopedics, you covered the gamut of injuries.
Oh yeah, yep, yeah. We do it all. The tendinitises, the arthritis, your sprains, herniated discs, the pinched nerves, the neuropathy. Just anything muscle, tendon, bone, joint related, we're dealing with, and nerve. And so, sometimes people aren't sure. Like, oh, is this more of a problem for the neurologist, or is this more of a problem for? Well, maybe they think they have a hernia, and that's what's causing the pain in the front part of their hip. It's always fine to come here. I mean, I was a primary care doctor before I was a non-surgical orthopedic doctor. And so I'm perfectly fine, listening to your symptoms as, a general doctor. And even if it's not something orthopedics, then it's telling you, okay, this is the person that you need to see. And then at least they know. So that's not a problem either.
Right. Again, like I say, we just have to be able to know our capabilities, and as you say, test them out, but don't push it.
Yep.
You're not going to get one of these automatic exercise machines with a little TV screen, and pump all day long on this kind of thing. That you're not going to. It's not a good investment financially, because you're not going to use it regularly.
Yep.
And that's kind of like jumping several levels.
Yeah. And actually, since we're talking about just this general health, for your bodies, for your muscles and whatnot, so our national exercise kind of guidelines kind of boil down to a few points. One is that everyone needs to be doing, throughout the week, they need to be doing some kind of resistance training, weight training. Everyone needs to incorporate that. Women too. Everyone needs to be doing some sort of cardiovascular training. Everyone knows what that means. But then the two most neglected parts of their 4 points, one is that something called neuromuscular activation, meaning practicing your balance, your stability, things like standing on one leg. People need to be doing neuromuscular work. And then the last part is stretching. And I see a lot of runners, I see a lot of people who just don't want to stretch. But if you're not stretching, your body is compensating, your body is getting overly tight, and that's going to lead to more problems. So everyone needs to be addressing those 4 points: resistance training, cardiovascular training, neuromuscular or balance type training, and stretching.
Gee, maybe we can take a hint from athletes.
Yep.
Prior to their performances, they're out there getting ready.
Sure, you look at LeBron James. LeBron James is known for his longevity, or Tom Brady. Watch them before a game and what they're doing.
Exactly.
Yes, they'll talk to you about their diets and, the supplements. I won't get into the supplements as much, but look at the exercises they're doing. They're practicing standing on one leg, and they're catching a ball. They're closing their eyes, and they're moving their joints around. They're stretching. They're warming things up. There's this is clearly a sign of success and a sign of longevity. And so we should all be listening to that.
Well, every professional athlete, whether it's baseball, basketball, football, and even practicing lifting your stick up over your head to hit someone in hockey, it's still getting an exercise program.
Yep. And I get a lot of questions about stretching. Is it best before the activity, after the activity? And I'd say you're thinking a little bit too hard about the stretching. I'd say, number one, stretch when it feels best for you. It doesn't have to be before or after the activity. But the important part with stretching is that muscle, that joint is warm. You don't want to stretch a cold hamstring. Think about our muscle and our tendon kind of like a rubber band. And if that rubber band is cold, like you've had it in the freezer, and you try and stretch it, well, it tears pretty easy. But if it's nice and warm, then you can stretch it safely.
Mm-hmm.
The muscles are the same way. You just got to get them warmed up. And the same thing before you go out and do your run or whatever activity, warm up the joint. And that's oftentimes why arthritis feels better, once you got up and moving. A lot of people tell me, when I stand up from the chair, it takes me a minute or so before my knee will allow me to get moving. And that's because you haven't been using the knee and there hasn't been as much blood flow to the area. But you stand up and the brain says, okay, I better get ready to walk. There's extra blood flow going to the cartilage in that part of the knee and the muscles. That's why you're able to get up and moving. And so that's a very common symptom of arthritis, is that it needs to get warmed up.
Yes, and the engine, which is the heart, plays the biggest role in all of this.
Oh, yeah.
To regulate the pressure, regulate the blood flow, in the match,
so
the exercise.
Yeah, it comes back to the cardiovascular training that I was talking about. If you're not challenging your heart, and challenging it appropriately, of course. I understand that people may have some underlying cardiovascular conditions. But if you're not challenging at least a little bit, well, it kind of goes back to that whole saying, if you don't use it, you lose it. The same thing with your legs. If you haven't been challenging the strength in your legs, the balance in your legs, well, then you're going to slowly lose that over time. But the good news is that our bodies can always improve. It may not gain strength or stability as quickly as when you were young, but you can still improve on wherever you're at.
Mm-hmm. And it's not over at a certain point in your life.
Exactly. Yep. No, it's never over. It's not over till the fat lady sings, right?
And the opportunity is always there. Right.
Yep. Yep. And if you're concerned about how to do that safely, maybe you have an underlying, pulmonary condition, cardiovascular condition, or you're just worried about your joints, well, then checking in with those doctors ahead of time to make sure that you can set yourself up for success in trying to accomplish those goals is never a bad idea.
Well, we talked about Skype and Zoom and those video opportunities for face-to-face or even FaceTime on the phone.
Mm-hmm.
People should think about, let's say you got a group of 6 guys or 4 guys who always play golf together, but they can't get out of the house right now, but they all have Skype. So why not the 4 of them link up to a Skype conference? One guy be the leader, the other guys do the exercises.
Yep. And get creative with it.
Just something
really
like that.
Creative. You see some of these college kids, and they miss being around their buddies. And this is not the best healthy example, but, they'll all get around and they'll have a beer together. They'll put their camera facing each other and, they'll have their beer in front of them and they'll have a conversation just like they would in a bar to get that socialization.
Right.
So heck, get creative just like these other people are. Develop a game. Some people are setting up their home golf course, like a putting type thing, and come up with a challenge. This is the time to get creative. I mean, the same thing goes with our brain. If you don't use it, you lose it. And so challenge your creativity.
An inverted glass on the carpet for putting.
Yep.
And, just some fun stuff. Plus, again, people say, well, reading is good. And for cognitive function, reading is all right. It's not a super good challenger. A super good challenger is learn to play chess if you've never played chess. Learn Chinese if you've never learned another language. Take on something really mentally taxing and mentally engaging.
Yeah. Got to challenge yourself. I learned to juggle last year, just for the heck of it, for a new challenge. So I mean, things like that. You can do anything. I mean, you search the internet for fun new challenges. Oh, there's tons of ideas on the internet, and if there's not a good idea there, it may help to stimulate you to come up with your own new challenge.
Right. Exactly. Yep. Exactly. We just, let's not get complacent.
Yep.
Okay, especially with our bodies. This is an important thing that I'm dealing with when I deal with my body. I can't just say, "Oh well," no, because "oh well" is gone from this earth, and I want to be as active as I can be until that moment happens.
Yeah.
And again, I need professional help once in a while. I don't know it all. I can't do it all, and I have to rely on the people that I have confidence in, which you're one of, by the way, Doctor.
Well, thank you. And Pat, I know we're wrapping up the show here, so let me make sure that everyone knows again where to find me. You can find me on the internet at drw.org, DOCTORW.org. And Florida Orthopedic Specialists, you can find us in Port St. Lucie on Highway 1 and Walton Road, or in Stewart on Highway 1 and Indian Street. We take walk-in appointments, we take same-day appointments, we do telemedicine appointments, and our telephone number for either spot to get a hold of us is 335-4770. Yeah.
All right,
it's great doing this show, Pat. We got to make sure that we do this more regularly.
Oh, we're going to do it.
There's questions too. If people have questions, I don't know if they can submit them to you or if you have questions. I love going through questions, and in medicine we call it getting pimped. Trying to get stumped, so I love questions too.
Okay, and if anyone would like to email me with some questions, it would be call Sacco, CALLSACCO, like call Sacco on the phone, at AOL.com. And we can set this up. Yeah, we can bring another physician in with it. By that time, we'll be able to be in the studio with several people, and we'll continue. We want to educate the community. We want to educate the public. We want them to know what is out there. And again, your phone number again, very, very slowly.
Yep. The phone number for Florida Orthopedic Specialists and me, Dr. Where's Becky, or Dr. W, is 335-4770. 335-4770.
Very good. Very good. Well, I hope that you have a good day planned today. If you don't, just walk around the hallways for a while, get those knees going, and then you can sit down and read something.
Yep. Oh yeah, I completely agree with you. Yep. Do a little bit of everything. Balance, moderation. I am Mr. Balance and Mr. Moderation. So, read, do something creative, right? Do something active, and be smart. Yeah, couldn't agree with you more, Pat.
And know your limitations and work slowly. We're a society that we have to do it all in the next 5 minutes. We can't do that anymore. Just have to take our time. And call someone you haven't talked to in a long time while you're waiting for the virus to subside.
I think that's a great challenge for everyone today. Call someone that they haven't talked to in the past month that maybe they've been meaning to. I love that challenge.
Hey,
there's a great challenge right there.
Hey, call Kansas today before you go home.
Or heck, if you don't want to call someone, shoot them a random text message or email or physical letter. That's great too.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or leave them a voicemail on their phone with a character cartoon, right?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay, well, Dr. Where's Becky? Thank you very much, and we'll be back again next week on the Forum.
Yo, what up? Evanino, you got me? Who do you got? You don't have the rabbi? Yeah, but he's an analog guy living in a digital world. So give me a second. Is that Frank the Tank or who is that? Pat Sacco, what's shaking? Oh my gosh. That sounds fantastic. What show do you? Beautiful. That'd be great. Let's do a trade. I am now just talking through on my computer. I can explore. I can hook up a lav to it. I have a little lav that will. All right. Hold please.
Why is there no video? Oh, okay. What? Oh, I probably should change my profile.
Okay, 1 second. I'm about to hook up a mic here. Yeah.
Okay. Do I see the chat room? I do. Yep. Computer mic. No. Nope. Hmm. Yep.
All right. Is this any better? Okay. Because when I put in, this is just my wired earplugs from my phone. when I put into the computer. Now, if I put in the little lav mic that I put into my and this is strong enough. I just want to sound better than the rabbi because it's to me that makes Christianity sound better than Judaism. Okay.
True. Me too. Thank you. Yep.
The opinions expressed on this program are those
it sounds
of the
like it's in
program
a room.
host.
It's not great. Okay. Okay. That's not what the audience hears? Okay. The caller. Wait a minute. Okay, so this person is going to call in from New York. Word. The last piece of the puzzle. I can make
this. All right. Hold on. Let me get out of the room. There's feedback.
Feedback.
I feel like I'm in Yankee Stadium. Okay, so I've stepped out of the room now, and I'm actually in the other room. So now, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, but it's a little muffled.
Okay. Go ahead and talk. Christian, talk. Give me a 10 count.
Check it out. My name is Father Christian, and the rabbi's my man. He is the guy with a master plan.
Okay,
He's
so
got
you're
three
clear as
beautiful
can be.
daughters.
Matthew, if you could give me a talk to me. Let me hear if I hear you.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Well, I need more than one word.
What a wonderful day it is.
All right,
Sun
so that's gonna
shining.
work.
It's lovely.
And you guys can hear me, correct?
Yeah, well,
Yep.
we hear you.
Yeah, if you can hear me audibly, right?
Yeah, is that how we're going to hear you normally?
That's how you're going to hear the caller. Just like I can turn the volume up a little bit. Hold on one second.
Oh no, that's going to stink.
No, I'm going to turn the volume up so you hear me louder. All right, so now how's that? Is that a little bit better?
Yeah, it's not great though.
Okay.
That's as best it's going to get.
That's about as good as it's going to get because see, the way they have this set up, they don't have a return feed going in out of the soundboard. So you're basically hearing me right now through the speakers in the microphone that's in the laptop. That's the best I can do to give you audio back from a phone call.
Okay. Okay. There's no other option to explore here. This is it.
No, this is it. This is about as good as it gets. The only thing I could suggest is you turn up your volume on your earbuds on your laptop computer. Make sure your volume's at 100%.
The volume's not the problem. It just sounds like we're in an episode of Saw, and you're the guy being like, "I want you now to open up the wall."
The quality has nothing to do with what's going to go out on the air. This is just our inner quality of the call.
Right.
That's all that is. It's you're just going to have to live with it this way, but on the air, it's going to sound fine.
Well, that's great. And it's good. We'll just have to get used to that. It sounds like we're doing an exorcism and you're the one being exercised.
Yeah. Thanks.
But it just sounds like that. You're not really being exercised because, No,
I get it. I get it. I totally get it. Believe me, I understand what you're saying. In a perfect world, if everything was wired correctly, then we wouldn't have this issue and you wouldn't have to worry about it. You have to understand you're coming in over a internet line also as well. So, you know, there is a little degrading of the signal coming into the studio. But as far as the two of you go, it sounds like you're sitting right here in the studio with me.
All right. What do you think?
Hold on. I'm gonna hang up the phone. Hold on.
Mateo, are you still there?
Yep.
Are you okay with this?
Yep.
The other option is that we just pool our money and fly her out from New York. It probably costs $20 round trip right now if we just flew her to the studio. We don't have to even go to the studio. She could just do that.
Yeah, work on that.
All right. All right. Well, this sounds good. It will be interesting, but we're in interesting times. And I think this is, listen, Rabbi, you are more than welcome to go into the studio if you want. I got to play it safe now with a pregnant wife. So, so I'm going to stay at home. But if this drives you nuts,
No. Yeah. No, I'll do it this way, at least for this week. Next week I can come in, but it's just a little kind of crazy with Passover and a whole bunch of stuff. I got a meeting at 10:30 tomorrow. I don't know if I'll have enough time to go from the studio back home.
All right. Well, that's crazy times. So, all right, cool. Well, we have a really good caller tomorrow, Evan. The head of evangelism for the whole Episcopal Church, and I think she's going to be good on the radio. She's
Okay.
okay. Okay, so repeat that part again. So at 5 till. Opened up the Zoom room, homies. All right. That sounds good. Mm-hmm. So should I tell homegirl to call in at like 8:58? I yes. Okay, so
Okay.
to review, just because I will admit, someone just contacted me on another phone, so I got distracted. If we go down because internet blows, I will call. Dude, I'm a priest now. I can't be talking about three ways. Do you understand what's going on here? I have found Jesus. I'm a new man, and okay, so this is what we do. Yeah, I'll call you, and then I'll patch in Jerusalem, probably through my cell phone, and then call the thing, then how does the rabbi get in? Okay. Okay, and then, right. Yes, sir. Yeah, no, I know how to do it. Yeah. And then, so we'll just, but I'm going to call the radio show, right? Great. You know what I like about you, man? You have plan Bs. You're all right. I don't care what.
All right, so I should unblock Reverend Anderson from my phone.
Why's it got to be black, bro? Why's it got to be black? This is true. Okay. So I think this is good, but really, I love how you have a plan B. So we're not down. Yeah, this is good. I like this. This is good. Okay, cool.